You know, when you think about the world's biggest geopolitical flashpoints, the tension between China and Taiwan is right there at the top of the list. It's a place where a regional conflict could go global in a heartbeat. But what if I told you that at the center of it all isn't a military base or a fleet of warships, but a single, massive wall of concrete? A dam. 400 million. Just let that number hang in the air for a second. That's not a budget number or some economic stat. That is the number of human beings living directly in the path of destruction if that one dam were to fail. That's more people than the entire population of the United States, all living downstream from a single vulnerable target. Okay, so let's get right into it. We're talking about the Three Gorges Dam. On one hand, it's one of the most incredible engineering projects humanity has ever pulled off, a massive symbol of China's power. But on the other hand, it is a ticking time bomb. It's the nation's single greatest strategic weakness, a literal concrete Achilles heel. To really get why it's so important, you just have to look at how quickly it became essential. I mean, construction finished up in 2006, and by 2012, it was already cranking out more power than any other station on the planet. It's a linchpin for flood control, it lets huge ships sail deep into the country, and it powers a massive part of the Chinese economy. It's truly woven into the fabric of the nation. And the scale is just, well, it's staggering. We're talking about a structure that's over a mile long, taller than a 60-story skyscraper, and packed with enough steel to build 60 Eiffel Towers. But the number that really matters, the one that holds all the danger, is the 39 cubic kilometers of water it's holding back. That is an almost unimaginable amount of pent-up energy. And that, of course, brings us to the terrifying flip side. Because when you hold back that much power, what happens if it gets unleashed? Well, you go from an engineering marvel to the trigger for a full-blown man-made apocalypse. And look, this isn't some abstract threat in the middle of nowhere. The flood path would carve its way right through some of China's most important and populated cities. We're talking about places like Wuhan, home to over 12 million people, and Nanjing, with more than 9 million. These are crucial economic hubs that would just be erased as this wave of destruction tears its way down the Yangtze River. And calling it a flood doesn't even do it justice. The physics here are just horrifying. A total failure would unleash a torrent of water moving at nearly 100 kilometers an hour. But it wouldn't just be water. It would be a grinding, churning wall of debris. Concrete, steel, cars, buildings, basically a wall of water filled with shrapnel the size of houses, scouring the earth clean. To put this into perspective, think about the Hoover Dam in the US. It's huge, holds back a ton of water. But if it broke, the downstream population is about 66,000 people. A terrible, terrible regional disaster, for sure. But the failure of the Three Gorges, with 400 million people downstream, that's not a regional disaster. That's a global catastrophe unlike anything we've ever seen. So this leads us to the billion-dollar question. If this is China's greatest vulnerability, could an enemy actually take it out? I mean, could someone really destroy this thing that seems so invincible? Well, let's take a look at the playbook. If you're Taiwan, your game plan is what's known as a porcupine strategy. The idea isn't to win a war against a much bigger foe, but to make invading so incredibly painful that they decide it's just not worth the cost. And for Taiwan, the sharpest quill in their arsenal is the threat to the Three Gorges Dam. Their weapon of choice? Probably the Yunfeng cruise missile, which has just enough range to make that threat credible. But then, you've got the United States, and the US arsenal is, frankly, playing a completely different sport. We're talking B-2 stealth bombers that are nearly invisible to radar, hundreds upon hundreds of Tomahawk cruise missiles, and the real game changer, specialized weapons like the massive ordnance penetrator, a bunker buster bomb literally designed for one purpose, to destroy massive, hardened concrete targets. But, of course, it's not that simple. It's never that simple. China knows full well the dam is a giant target on its back, and they have built an absolute fortress to protect it. An attacker isn't just going to fly in and drop a bomb. The very first line of defense is the dam's design. See, it's what's known as a gravity dam. Don't think of it as a thin wall. Think of it as an artificial mountain made of steel and concrete. It holds back the river through sheer, unbelievable mass. You can't just knock it over. And that's why those bunker buster bombs are so critical. A conventional missile like the kind Taiwan has would probably just chip away at the surface. To cause a catastrophic failure, To really crack it open, you need those specialized weapons, ordnance that the US definitely has, but that Taiwan almost certainly does not. And that difference is absolutely crucial.
Okay, so beyond its sheer bulk, China has also surrounded the dam with one of the most dense and deadly air defense networks on the entire planet. We are talking over 1,000 advanced fighter jets, including their own J-20 stealth fighters. We're talking hundreds of long-range missile launchers, including some of the best Russia has to offer. The sky above that dam is an incredibly dangerous place to be.
So what do you get when an unstoppable force meets a seemingly immovable object? Well, you get a stalemate, a terrifying, high-stakes standoff. You get a whole new kind of mutually assured destruction. This whole thing really boils down to one core idea: strategic deterrence. It's the art of preventing someone from attacking you, not because they can't, but because the consequences, the payback, would be so devastatingly high that they would never even dare to try. And make no mistake, the consequences of this would ripple across the entire globe. The human cost would be historic, obviously, but the economic shockwave would cripple global shipping, it would wipe out a huge chunk of the world's food supply, and it would wreck a vital hub for manufacturing. Every country on Earth would feel the pain. And here's the wild paradox at the center of all this. The dam works as a deterrent in both directions. It deters China from starting a war because they fear a desperate retaliatory strike. But it also deters the US and its allies from ever actually striking it, because the global fallout would be catastrophic for them too. And let's be crystal clear about the ultimate stakes here. An attack that causes this level of death and destruction, well, that wouldn't be seen as a conventional act of war. For Beijing, an attack on the dam would be viewed as an act equal to a nuclear strike, and an attack like that would almost certainly be met with nuclear retaliation. So, in a world that already lives under the shadow of nuclear weapons, the Three Gorges Dam has created a second, conventional form of mutually assured destruction. It's a target so catastrophic that its destruction is unthinkable, and that very fact helps keep a fragile peace, because if you bring it down, everybody loses, no exceptions. It leaves us with this really chilling final question. We rely on these terrifying doomsday calculations to keep major wars from breaking out. This grim promise that if anyone goes too far, it means annihilation for everyone. And it just makes you wonder, is mutually assured destruction the most terrifying form of peace we've ever created?